Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. Here is something that I think nobody warns you about when you start building as an entrepreneur. Success does not simplify your life. As a matter of fact, success more so complicates your life. More business, more people, more decisions, and just more noise. And I think that if you don't do something about it, the very thing that you built, that business you're so proud of, or businesses, or whatever journey you're on, that thing you built starts to squeeze the life out of you. And I'm sharing that because I have personally lived this. As my businesses grew, so did the responsibilities that came along with that, and the commitments, and of course the stress. And for a while I did, I think, what most of us do, which is I tried to manage it all just better. Like I tried to create better systems and started to better manage my calendar, or I started leveraging, better tools. And while some of that worked, here's what I've learned. The answer isn't managing the complexity better, it's probably removing it. If you want to not just survive growth, but actually thrive and be happy while it's all happening, you have to aim to simplify. And it's something I wish I would have realized sooner in my career than I did. But I'm glad that once I recognized it, I got very purposeful around simplification. So today I'm going to give you 7 things that I've personally done to simplify my world. Some of them may make sense for you. Some of them may make no sense whatsoever, but they've worked for me. And it's 7 of the many things I do to simplify, but these are my big 7. Number 1, my default answer is no. In other words, I say no far more than I say yes. And anybody that's spent time with me, works alongside me, or is in my friends, or part of my friend group, or even my family, my default is almost always no. And that's simply because every yes costs me something. It costs time, it costs energy, it costs attention. In other words, most opportunities, and I would, if you see me in person, I would have used air quotes there, but most opportunities aren't really opportunities. They're more distractions that are just dressed up. When no becomes your starting point, the things that truly deserve a yes have to actually earn it. Number 2, I have been very purposeful and selective in determining that I'm going to create a smaller social circle. Now, that might sound really harsh or rough to many of you, and I get it. But it's not harsh, in my opinion. What it is actually what I would call a chapter in the book, or maybe I should say it's seasonal. So when life is demanding, as frankly it is right now for me and many of you, I keep my circle tight. I intentionally made that circle smaller: family, a few close friends, a few key relationships. And the truth of the matter is, when things calm, when I'm out of this kind of peak that I'm in, I'll widen the circle, and that'll be great. And I'd be very selective with that, right? Like, that is very much on purpose that I've created a tighter circle. That is simplifying my world. Number 3, I aim to create routines in virtually all that I do. So, for example, my morning looks pretty much the same every single day. It's the same cadence or sequence, it's the same rhythm. Why do I do this? Well, because I found for me that every decision I make drains a little bit of fuel from the tank. Routines for me eliminate a lot of that decision fatigue, especially if it's, early morning routine. For example, it's that early day decision fatigue. So I'm not burning energy or willpower on things that really don't matter all that much. Others that might wear the same outfit every single day, or they're just very crazy with respect to the routines. Those are all simplification efforts, and they eliminate decision fatigue. Number 4, in business, I aim to push as many meetings as I can to either memos or I love shared docs, shared documents, like shared Google documents. What I've found is that most things don't actually need a meeting in order to move the ball down the field. So if we just go to, say, a shared doc and you write it down and you share it and I comment or you comment, people can respond on their own time. I think you not only get a lot more of your time back, you get clearer thinking, you get a written record, and ultimately, you get peace of mind and hours of your week back. Number 5, and this might seem extreme to many of you, but if you've ever called me, you know this to be true. Uh, a number of years ago, I decided to turn off my voicemail completely. Like, I have no voicemail. If you call my phone, I don't even think it plays a message that says this voicemail box hasn't been set up. I don't know what it plays, but I have no voicemail. And pretty much every week someone sends a message to me that doesn't know me and says, "Hey, there's something wrong with your phone. It says you don't have voicemail." Well, that's by design. Because for me, or if you think about it, think about what every voicemail actually is. Every voicemail is an obligation that someone else placed on your calendar without asking you. So it's selfish. Yes, I get it. And it simplifies my world. If someone needs me and the important people that need me, they either call again or they send me a text. And what did I get back? I got back uh, no backlog of messages that I'm obligated to return. I got one less, what I would call, inbox owning my attention. Number 6, and there's 7 here, so stick with me. Number 6, in business and in life, but especially in business, I ask, what do you think or what do you recommend all of the time instead of handing out answers? And here's why. When you always give the answer, then you end up owning every result. But when you ask for the person that is asking you the question, when you ask for a recommendation, then your people around you will think, they grow, they take ownership, and you ultimately carry less. Now, mind you, you've got to have the right people around you for you to always ask these sorts of questions. But ultimately, when I ask, what do you recommend? More oftentimes than not, what they recommend is probably better than I would have come up with anyways. And again, I carry less responsibility. They get an opportunity to own it and grow and run with it. And then number 7, I think I recently talked about this on an episode not too long ago. I have a response rule. Like, I've written a rule for how I respond or when I respond. Specifically, when I'm responding to something that might charge me up a little bit, might be emotional or whatever it may be it an email or a comment or something said in a meeting. I have written a rule, and I violate this rule from time to time, but I work pretty darn hard to keep it in order. I have written a rule that I force myself to pause. And depending on the significance of the comment or email or whatever it may be, that pause may be minutes, it may be hours, sometimes it's actually days. And the whole objective here, again, from a simplification standpoint, is to create space between the stimulus and the response. Because the reaction I want to give in the moment is almost never the response that best serves me and serves my life. Again, in other words, the response I want to give in the moment will create more complication, not simplification. So instead of just firing off that email or having that sharp comeback or those things that we do that make us feel good for all of about 90 seconds that we end up having to spend a week cleaning up, instead I force a pause and I'm more calculated in my response. And by doing so, uh, my life becomes a lot simpler. Space, that space between stimulus and response, is where I think the best judgment or the good judgment lives. So, for our No Days Off Nation, here's your action item this week. I want you to pick one of the 7 I just gave you, if it provided, one of the 7 makes sense. Maybe it's kill a recurring meeting and replace it with a shared document. Maybe you turn off your voicemail, give it a shot. Maybe you start trying this default answer being no, and you make every yes earn its spot on your calendar. Whatever it is, remove one piece of complexity from your world this week. And then I want you to notice what that space gives you back. Because, in my opinion, simplifying isn't about doing less with your life. It is most definitely not about doing less with your life. It's about making room for more of those things that matter, so you actually end up doing more with your life. That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.